women's rights had its roots in the Iroquois Confederacy. Many of the indigenous in the Western Hemisphere had philosophies that women who gave life to humans would end up being in charge of the earth, which is what gives life to the foods that in turn keep us alive. So the suffragette movement in the late 1800s, the early 1900s, they would have conventions going back and forth. These people knew the Iroquois women very well, and the Iroquois women had rights in their matrilineal society that would be the envy of women in the Western world today. I don't know if you're aware, but some European countries were still, the women were not voting up into the 1970s and the 1980s still. And when the vote finally was given, it was a 51%, 52%, those couple of votes, Liechtenstein, Switzerland. The suffragette movement then resulted in the vote for women in England just before World War I, and in the United States just after World War I. So these people that were very influential in that movement, people like Susan Anthony, Lucretia Mott, Matilda Gage, Lucy Stone, they knew very well, they were friends with the Iroquois women, and they knew very well about the situation, how they were equal in that society. And they worked hard to try to get it for themselves, particularly voting when it came to democracy and in their political structures. Lucretia Mott, in particular, complimented the Iroquois women because they essentially ran this political system I've been telling you about. The nominating of the leaders was handled through the women, the nominating and the electing, and if they were going to be removed from office, that also began with the women. And as I said, everyone had a voice in that government. Young people at the age of reason, 14, 15 years old, old people, everyone had a voice. Now, in the Iroquois Confederacy, there were no laws to do with rape at all. In fact, rape didn't exist, and that's why they didn't need the laws. In Europe at that time, there was legalized marital rape, and legalized wife beating was still going on. Now, there are people that would argue that it was a matriarchate, which is a political system run by women, but in the final analysis, it looks like it was a fairly even in terms of the jobs that were given to the different people within their society. Anyway, women's rights, once again, attributable back to the Western Hemisphere.